The worst bungee jumping accidents ever. The Victoria Falls cord snap. Imagine jumping off a bridge knowing that the only thing standing between you and the river hundreds of feet below is a thick elastic cord attached to your ankles. Sounds terrifying enough already, right? Well, for a 22-year-old Australian tourist named Aaron Langworthy, that fear became reality. It was New Year's Eve 2011, and Aaron was traveling through Africa looking for adventure. One of the stops on her trip was the famous Victoria Falls Bridge, a massive steel structure connecting Zambia and Zimbabwe high above the Zambezi River. The location is considered one of the most scenic bungee jumps in the world. On one side sits Victoria Falls, one of the largest waterfalls on Earth. On the other is a deep gorge filled with rushing water. Thousands of people had made the jump before without any problems. Erin arrived at the platform, had her ankles secured, listened to the safety briefing, and prepared herself for the leap. Friends watched nearby while staff performed the final checks. Everything appeared normal. Then came the countdown. 3, 2, 1, jump. Erin launched herself from the bridge and began plummeting toward the river below. For the first few seconds, everything went exactly as expected. Then something happened that almost nobody thought was possible. The cord snapped. Just like that. The very thing designed to save her life suddenly failed. Witnesses watched in horror as Erin continued falling. There was no rebound, no sudden stop, no second chance. She crashed into the Zambezi River below at tremendous speed. Most people assumed she was dead, but somehow she survived the impact. Unfortunately, her nightmare was only beginning. Portions of the broken cord remained wrapped around her legs as powerful currents dragged her downstream. The Zambezi is not exactly a swimming pool. It's a dangerous river known for strong rapids and crocodiles. Erin later described struggling to stay conscious as water repeatedly pulled her beneath the surface. Blood poured from cuts sustained during the fall while she desperately tried to free herself. Somehow she managed to stay afloat long enough for rescuers to reach her. By the time she was pulled from the river, she was battered, bruised, and lucky to be alive. The story exploded across international news. Footage of the jump spread all over the internet as millions watched the horrifying moment the cord failed. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. Bungee jumping is supposed to have multiple safety measures. How could the cord simply break? Investigators later examined the equipment while the public debated the risks of extreme sports. Yet, despite everything that happened, Erin survived. To this day, she remains one of the most famous survivors in the history of bungee jumping. And her story is proof that sometimes surviving the fall is only the beginning of the battle. The Oxford Falls. When most people think about dangerous extreme sports, they imagine equipment snapping or machinery failing. What they don't think about is math. But in bungee jumping, math is everything. Every jump depends on precise calculations. Weight, cord length, elasticity, platform height. Get one number wrong, and the consequences can be catastrophic. That's exactly why the Oxford Falls tragedy became one of Australia's most infamous bungee accidents. At Oxford Falls near Sydney, visitors arrived expecting an unforgettable adventure. One of them was a young woman named Amanda Dalla Costa. Like everyone else there that day, she trusted the professionals running the attraction. Why wouldn't she? The entire purpose of their job was to make sure people survived the jump. Amanda was fitted with her equipment and brought to the platform. Spectators watched as she prepared to leap. Then she jumped. What should have been a thrilling experience turned into a disaster. Something had gone terribly wrong with the setup. Instead of stopping safely before reaching the ground, Amanda struck the terrain below. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but the injuries were devastating. News of the accident spread quickly throughout Australia. What made the accident especially disturbing was how preventable it appeared. There was no storm, no freak act of nature, no unpredictable mechanical explosion. The entire activity depended on calculations being correct, and somewhere along the line, something failed. For many Australians, the Oxford Falls accident shattered the perception that bungee jumping was a perfectly controlled thrill. It became a grim reminder that even the smallest mistake can have deadly consequences when gravity is involved. If you enjoy this video and would like to know more history like this, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.